to Rachel's end of the year Moonlight Libraries, end of the year 2020 favorite books, 10 books right now. My favorites. I have ranked them in an order that I don't think the order actually matters. I'm like, least favorite to favorite of my favorites, but did I just make up the order? Yeah. Does it actually matter? No. So here we go. Ranking at number 10 in our list. Kind of funny because I had probably like 16 books that had 5 stars, and for some reason I was like, none of these are cut in this list. And I went down into the 4 stars and I was like, that book right there, that's on the list. And I'm like, then why did I rate it 4 stars? Boop. Anywho, we got I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid. I only gave it 4 stars. Do I remember why? Maybe, but I feel like this book is gonna stay with me for a long time. It was haunting. It was fast. It was like, I got through it in a day, and then I immediately went to a friend and I was like, you have to read it because like I need to talk to someone about it. And it's like, I'm going to be sitting with this book for so long. And I constantly think about, oh my god, it's all embossed. So nice. Embossed and embossed. Guy and girl, boyfriend, girlfriend, going on a road trip. Not really a road trip, but like driving to meet his parents. It's weird. It is weird. It's all over the place. Maybe I ended up giving it 4 stars because of the movie, but I had finished the book and given it 4 stars and then saw the movie later. So maybe it's like me thinking back on it. I have really fond memories of this book and how haunting it was. They're in a car for a lot of it. It is very just like, you know, it is whelming. You can be underwhelmed. You can be overwhelmed. But can you just be whelmed? I'm sure that's exactly how that quote went. Is that a bad thing to be whelmed? Well, yeah, this book was whelming. In the most positive sense of the line. Wow, usually I get into this state at the end of my videos, but this is at the beginning, so we're gonna see how this one goes. Yeah, so wonderful book. Haunting, strange, seasonal, snowy, snow, so that's fun, that's exciting, that's bold, that's interesting. Read it. Number 10. Boom. Number 9, I said Every Heart a Doorway. Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. And I also don't know why I put this one here. I'm so sorry, this is an indecisive list. I really enjoyed Every Heart a Doorway. I thought it was a wonderful opening of a realm, of a story, and building. Yes, it's fantasy, it's fantastical, it's strange. It's like these children that have gone to magical realms and then come back, and like they want to go back, but they're at the school to like be like, don't do that. I'm excited to read the second book, which I own right here. Can't wait to get this one in. I don't know why I haven't read it already. I love her writing style. I think it's really interesting. So each of the books kind of like set around a different child or children. And so it's like, I guess you could pick up any of them, but the first one's definitely like an introduction. And I was just so excited to start this series because everyone was talking about it and I was like, I need to do it! You'd think I just drank coffee. Hey there. Welcome. So yes, Every Heart a Doorway. Wonderful book. I had a great time with it. It was an interesting story. We're going to go into number 8, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. See, this book ended up on my list because I had a lot of fun listening to it. I listened to the audiobook. It's about this girl, Imani, and she has had a child. She's in high school. She also loves cooking. And she's wanting to figure out her world, figure out where she's going in life, and finding that she has a passion for something so strong. A really good book. It was a nice audiobook. I got very invested in it. I feel like most of my list comes from how invested I was in the story, because I feel like something can end up with a 5 because it was well written, but maybe I wasn't, and like I loved it in a sense, but it wasn't the type of book that the pleasure of reading was there. Maybe I should count that into how I rate books, or maybe I was in the moment for most of these other books. Having a little bit of an existential crisis now. I really liked how that book talked about finding your life, finding your passion, finding your dreams. Number 7. This is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan. This was such a good book. End of the world, but in like this weird way where you're like, what's really going on? It's about race, it's about understanding, it's about a lot of things, and like how people react to certain things happening and trust in other people. So it all opens with this family who's rented an Airbnb out in like around the Hamptons sort of area in New York, and this husband and wife come there and they're like, knock knock, there's a big old power outage and like we need a place to stay. This is our house, and like we're trying to get out of the city, and it's scary, and there's a lot of conflict internally, externally that's happening. Very interesting. Loved it. Would recommend. I had such a good ride reading this book. I read it so fast. The next one is number 6. Is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I don't actually own this one. I borrowed my friend's volume 1 and 2, and I had such a good time reading these. They were such a feel-good, pleasure, like fun book about these like 2 boys and like coming of age and falling in love, and you know, so cute, so queer, so sweet, so wonderful. The drawings, like the illustrations, were beautiful. I am totally gonna read number 3 once I can, so can't wait for that. That's fun. Love that. Had such a good time reading those. I'll talk more about them in my wrap up. Number 5. Okay, so I haven't talked about this book on this channel because I listened to it as an audiobook at the beginning of the year. And part of what I loved about it was the experience of listening to it. Escape from Camp 14 by Blaine Harden. Prison Camp in North Korea. It's a nonfiction. Prison Camp in North Korea. This guy Shin, he was born into the prison camp, and it's like one of the like very strict, hardcore prison camps, and he's supposed to live there for the rest of his life because of something I think one of his parents did, or one of his grandparents. So that's how it works. It's like 3 generations or something. If you do something bad enough, like you have 3 generations that are going to be imprisoned. And so Shin is like one of the only people to escape from a prison camp in North Korea, and he made it all the way to California, and so it's about his journey, and it is insane. I listened to this partially in the car on a little road trip at the beginning of this year with my boyfriend, and I was like, let's listen to this audiobook, and he's like, I don't want to listen to an audiobook, and I was like, let me just turn it on and we'll see how you feel. And I turned it on, and he was like on the edge of his seat, like, we need to listen to more of this. And we had such a good time listening to it and talking about it, and we'd have to pause it every once in a while to just be like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. So that's number 5, because it was a great read, but also taught me a lot about North Korea. Quite interesting and terrifying. Completely terrifying. Number 4. This one I haven't talked to you about yet, though. So I guess we have a couple from December. This is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Who didn't love this book? I'm assuming some people did. But this book was beautiful. This book reminded me that I do love romance. I was like reading this and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. I had such a fun time with this book, and I loved it so much, and I love them. Red is just a god. So Chloe Brown has fibromyalgia, and she decides that she's going to make a list of things that she wants to do in her life to like kind of, get out there and start doing things instead of just being miserable. And she meets Red along the way, who's helping her with her list, and they, hello, you can tell there's a little bit of romance there. There's a lot of romance there, and it is so sweet. Can't wait to read the other books about the other sisters. Yes, so excited. Number 3 is The Leftovers by Tom Perrotta. Okay, so I watched the show when I was younger. I guess I love semi-apocalyptic but weirdly apocalyptic books, because this one is as if 1% of the population disappeared, but you're following this one family and kind of like how they cope with everyone going away. There are a lot of cults in it. It is just a lot of stuff going on in such a wonderful way, and following, like, it's like character studies almost, like how do people grieve, and how do people, even if they didn't lose anyone or if they lost everyone, what do they do afterwards? What happens in the aftermath to the people that are left over? Number 2. I don't own this book. I wish I did. I already bought it once for my mother. It is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This is a memoir written about Carmen Maria Machado's life, about her relationship with this woman that was just like, it was a nightmare relationship, and coping and pain and moving on and everything. So much. There's so much feeling. There's so much power behind it. It's written almost in these vignettes where you get a little bit here, a little bit there. She goes into like, what is gaslighting? What is this? What is that? It has a nice flow to it. It's easy to digest, but at the same time, it's so powerful. It almost takes over your life. So that's why it got number 2, because whoa. And then I was like, what could be more powerful than that? And obvious, the one book that took over my life for a little while, as it took over most people's lives. And it is not a recommendation for most people because, trigger warning, everything. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I love this book. This book took you on the wildest roller coaster. I'll think about it for the rest of my life. I want to reread it at some point. It was beautiful. It was horrifying. It was so tragic. She wrote it trying to manipulate people's emotions, which is a bad thing, but also, yeah. It's about these 4 friends in New York, and mainly about this guy Jude and his like past and what he's gone through, and just so much, so dark, so sad. The depression is real. And when I was reading this book, it took over my whole life. All I did was think about it, and I cried constantly. I was like, I wasn't like, I'm not gonna cry during this book, but I didn't realize how much I would cry during this book, because I cried a lot. It was everything. It was beautiful too, and it was happy at times. Like, I cried out of happiness and joy, not as much as I cried out of grief and loss and mourning and just feeling for someone so much. Like, you felt like you were in this person's life and you were a part of this. You were this person that's standing there and it's surrounding you. The whole story is surrounding you. Just like thinking back to that ending. Like, I cannot. Okay. The saddest book I've ever read. Yeah, it's the saddest book I've ever read, and how can that not be my favorite book of the year? I like happy books, but at the same time, I also love a good sad book. So, that's this. Well, I was a finalist for the Man Booker and the National Book Award. Didn't win any of them. Wonder what else was up that year. Thanks for sitting with me through my top 10 books of the year. I hope you enjoyed it. If you watch my channel a lot, you probably have heard me talk about every one of these books except for Escape from Camp 14. I guess soon enough, it's not the end of the year, I could still read a favorite book, and this whole video will be a lie. So thanks for sitting with me through this potential lie. Have a good day. Bye.